Hello and welcome to another segment of the East Brunswick Advisory Health Council's Wellness Spotlight. The martial arts have been around in various forms for as long as people have fought and have their roots in the cultures from which they spring. Each culture creates its own answers to the questions of solving conflicts. In today's hectic, stressful, fast-paced lifestyle, we not only defend ourselves from attack from other people and the effects from physical, chemical, and emotional stresses that seem to lurk around every corner. To help explain how martial arts training can help you stay fit and healthier, I'm happy to have as my special guest Sensei Andrew Katz of Tiger Schulmann's Karate in East Brunswick. Sensei Andrew Katz began his martial arts training in 1979 at the age of 17. He studied several styles over the next 13 years. After dealing with teenage instructors and a few schools closing, he joined Tiger Schulmann's in 1993. In 1995, he received his black belt under Sensei Vince Gravina. A few months later, he became an assistant instructor and began teaching classes in East Brunswick. In 1996, he entered the head instructor training program and continued teaching classes in the Bayside, New York location under the direction of Sensei Brian Gotthofer. Sensei Katz is currently the head instructor of the East Brunswick School. He continues his training at the Tiger Schulmann's headquarters and training facility in Elmwood Park, New Jersey, under the direction of Master Tiger Schulmann. In 1996, he was involved in a DEA study on the effect of martial arts training for at-risk teens. In 1997, he was awarded a government grant to teach martial arts to teens in group homes. He also hosted several programs in East Brunswick, along with the Alliance for Alcohol and Drug Abuse, to help kids in his community overcome childhood obstacles. Today, he continues to work with charitable organizations to help those less fortunate. I'm proud to welcome to the Wellness Spotlight Sensei Andrew Katz. So, Sensei Katz, what was it that first got you interested in the martial arts?
Well, when I was a young kid, I was a kind of heavy kid, and the bullies in the schoolyard seemed to like to make me a target.
They were picking on you?
They were picking on me constantly. I actually got beat up quite often.
You did?
I did.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up right here in East Brunswick. I've been an East Brunswick resident my whole life.
Okay.
When I was about 12 years old, I saw a movie. The name of the movie was Billy Jack. And in that movie, I watched this guy take care of 4 or 5 people at the same time. Kind of reminded me of the way it was in the schoolyard, and I said, hey, I want to be able to do that.
So when did you first start studying? Did you start studying right away?
No. Unfortunately, my parents wouldn't let me take martial arts because they were afraid I'd beat up my little brother, so it had to wait until I was able to drive. So when I was 17, I began. And
where did you go to learn?
I had a friend, Dennis, who was a teacher in a school. He was young, too. He was 16. And I asked him to teach me privately, and he agreed. And I've been doing some type of workout in the martial arts ever since.
Now, what kinds of things did you study initially, and how did your education change over the years?
Well, when I first began, I started with stand-up fighting only, and it was mostly kicks, not a lot of punching, and it was very cool, to use a word that kids use today. I was very intrigued with the way you could jump in the air, spin around, and I thought it was awesome.
Was Bruce Lee one of your heroes?
You want me to date myself that much?
I just dated mine.
Yes, Bruce Lee was definitely one of my heroes, and I'll date myself even worse. It wasn't in any of his movies. It was when he played Kato in The Green Hornet, so you're going back quite a ways.
Okay, I remember that show too. All right, so I'm sorry, continue.
I guess after Dennis moved away, all right, which was only a few years after that, I had decided to go and take a different style, and I went to a Chinese Kung Fu school. And in that school, it was much, much different. It was not a lot of high jumping kicks. It was a lot more low stances. It was a different type of workout. I got in a lot better physical condition, and there was a little bit more self-defense involved in the training as well. Mm-hmm.
And did you ever have to use your knowledge of martial arts to defend yourself eventually?
Eventually, well, I didn't have to defend myself, but I did have to defend somebody else.
You did?
Yeah, a short story. It happened actually in my karate school. I had a child come in for an introductory lesson with his father, and somehow the mother and stepfather showed up at the school, and I was on the mat teaching the class, And all of a sudden, the stepfather went after the father, and I had to basically jump through the window and take the stepfather down to the ground to keep him from assaulting the father.
Oh, my. How did you get involved in instructing? You know, it's one thing to learn it. What was it that drew you into being an instructor of the martial arts and having your own school?
Well, I've always had a love for the martial arts since I was a young child. Like I said, around 12 years old, even younger than that. And I always wanted to do it as a child. So when I became a black belt, actually even before that, I was helping in the classes with my instructor and teaching the kids then, and it was very rewarding, right? When you saw a kid that came in that was completely uncoordinated and had the lowest self-esteem, actually no self-esteem, and you turn that kid into a confident kid who could really do just about anything they applied themselves to, it was very rewarding. And I decided, you know what, this is what I want to do.
What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about martial arts?
That it's violent. People today, and it's partially the media, ever since the UFC came involved, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, the media puts a violent spin on it. Sometimes they show the fighters as these big, mean people, when in actuality, it's just the opposite. All right. When I explain to people, you know, they come in, they say, well, I don't want my children to learn how to fight, or even as adults, I don't want to learn how to fight. I simply say this, it's like when you think about fighting, you think about somebody getting what? And the answer is hurt. And it's always the same answer. And I say, well, in martial arts, we learn not to get hurt. We learn to defend ourselves. So the biggest misconception is that you're learning a fighting art. And in truth, you're learning how to defend yourself very well. And at the same time, what you're doing is getting your body in the best physical condition that you could possibly get it in.
So is that what happened to you when you were 17? Did your body really change?
Yes, it did.
What happened?
It did. Like I said, I was a heavier kid. They called it husky back then. And I got myself in pretty good shape. I thinned out, became very strong, became much more confident, and I noticed that I didn't have the same problems that I had before. I didn't have people picking on me, and I'm talking about even as a teen, going into college, the people kind of left me alone. The ones that were bullies, they went on and picked on other people that were what you'd call weaker type of people.
Now, this program's called the Wellness Spotlight, and I thought that our viewers could really benefit from hearing why the martial arts contributes to wellness. You know, as you said, there's a lot of misconceptions about the martial arts. People think it is about fighting, but what is it about studying the martial arts that helps to promote wellness, Andy?
Well, the martial arts is a complete body-mind workout. Right? When you think about throwing a punch, you don't just use your arm like you do when you lift weights, right? When you lift weights, you're using only one body part at a time. You throw a punch, you're using every muscle from your toes, twisting your hip, moving your shoulders, your back, your chest. So you're using your body in a full range of motion. You're building all of the stabilizing muscles, not just the ones you see in the mirror. You're also doing it in such a way that you're building your heart and lungs, your body's engine. And at the same time, you're engaging your mind. So you're not thinking about, whoa, I'm lifting weights, or, oh, what am I doing, or what was happening to me before I got here. You immerse yourself in the class, and you clear your mind completely, and at the same time, you transform your body.
How long do most classes last?
Classes are an hour long. Right? An hour is a good length to work your body physically, and at the same time, work your heart and lungs, and have enough time at the end to do the most forgotten part of most people's workouts, the stretching, because flexibility is very important. It keeps you young.
So couldn't people get those same benefits by going to a gym and working out?
Sure, they can. All right, you lift weights for about 45 minutes to an hour. You take a 45-minute aerobics class. You don't stretch because you don't have time now. You've been at the gym for 2 hours. So what we do is we get all of that done with the added flexibility and the mental clarity, and we do it all in an hour.
Now, who takes lessons from your school these days?
We have students ranging from 3 years old in our preschool program.
3 years old?
3 years old. And at 3 years old, they're not learning the same type of things. At 3 years old, they're learning balance and coordination. They're learning how to separate from their parents and be a little bit more social. I also have students in their 80s. You know, and at that age, I mean, the focus is a little bit different. I mean, an 80-year-old man, I don't think they're coming to me for self-defense. At 80 years old, they're coming to me to keep their heart and lungs in good shape so that they can live a long time and play with their grandchildren.
Do you think that's one of the biggest benefits, is the cardiovascular benefits and the pulmonary benefits? Or do you think that it's a total mind-body workout altogether?
I think it's an all-together thing. You can't have one without the other. I mean, if your heart and lungs are in good shape, the way we do it, your body is going to be in good physical condition, and you're going to be clear in mind, and you're going to be confident as well.
How does a person know whether or not they could benefit from being able to study the martial arts?
I think everybody can benefit in one way or the other from the martial arts. Whether you're coming to learn self-defense, whether you're coming to get in good shape, I think to me it doesn't matter. A person that studies the martial arts gets all the benefits, even if they don't realize it. If I have a student that comes to me to get in great shape, I'm going to get them in really good physical condition. At the same time, I'm teaching them an art form that no one can ever take away from them. They can feel confident that they can defend themselves in any situation. So if the need ever did arise, they have those skills to use. And statistically, it's been proven that most people that know how to defend themselves really well don't need to, because they have that confidence and they walk a little bit differently.
I see. How long does it take for somebody to start to see results?
Training consistently, you'll see results probably right away, within the first month. By 3 months, if you follow the advice that I give you, you'll be in halfway decent shape.
So a person's interested in coming in and they want to study the martial arts and they've never studied it before. Can you just run us through the protocol of what goes on in your school?
Sure. We schedule what we call an introductory lesson, or an introductory trial course, which is actually 2 lessons and an orientation. We take you through the 2 classes just to make sure it's something that you're going to enjoy and want to stick with, and we educate you on how our school works and the benefits of the martial arts. And at that time, we explain how everything works in the school, and if you want to enroll, that's the time to do it.
I've been to your school. It's absolutely beautiful. You keep it immaculate, and you certainly have a lot of different types of equipment. But I haven't been to too many other schools. Can you tell me, what is it that sets Tiger Schulmann apart from other schools?
Well, Tiger Schulmann's, we have what we call a 3-dimensional workout, okay? Other types of exercise, first we'll go to that, like a gym or that type of thing, you will get results. If you go and you do the workouts, you definitely are going to get the results. The problem is, how many people are going to stick with something like weightlifting or sitting on a treadmill? In the gym, they put TVs above the treadmills these days because it's not the most intriguing thing to do. It's kind of boring if you think about it. So that's a 1-dimensional type of workout. You get results, but only if you stick with it. Then there are 2-dimensional types of workouts. Sports, basketball. Basketball is a fantastic workout, running back and forth on the court. I actually enjoy doing things like that. The problem is you need another person, you need to have a court, you need to have a ball. All right, so it's a 2-dimensional workout. If you can get together with somebody else and you can do it on a consistent basis, you'll have fun at the same time as you get the results, 2 dimensions. Ours is a 3-dimensional workout. We have that added self-defense training in there as well. So not only do you get results, it's very enjoyable, it's a lot of fun, but you get a skill that nobody can take away from you. And the way that we do it, it's a mixed martial art. We don't teach one way. We don't teach just how to defend yourself in a standing position. We teach how to defend yourself on the ground as well with what we call submission grappling. So it's very intriguing. You can defend yourself in any way that is possible, unlike some of the other schools where they teach one range of self-defense, like boxing, for example. You can defend yourself very well as long as your opponent is standing in front of you. But what if they're behind you or they grab you and take you to the ground? Then your boxing skills are taken away. Your weapons are gone. If all you know how to do is wrestle or grapple, If that person, if you can't get them to the ground where your skills are going to help you, then you're in trouble. We kind of teach the whole gambit. We teach how to defend in every range, from a longer range to right down to the ground, so that our students are very confident they can defend themselves.
You know, I would imagine people have to be concerned about the kind of shape that they're in before they start something like this. Is there a chance that people can actually get hurt learning how to do this?
We do everything in a very safe environment. First of all, one of the nice things about our schools is that we have a foam floor in our training area. It's very dense foam, and it's covered by a vinyl, so it's kind of like walking on a sponge. Even if you fell down, and in the very beginning you're not going to do that because we don't teach that way, but even if you were to trip and fall, you're falling on a nice cushiony floor. It's very clean as well. When you first begin training, the only punching and kicking that you're going to do is on a heavy bag or pads, so you're going to be protected that way. You're not going to be hitting other people or, you know, be involved in being struck by another person, so it's very safe.
Mm-hmm. You talked briefly about the mental component of your school's classes and how it improves self-esteem, people feel better about themselves. We can see how important that is. Mm-hmm. When we learn about the martial arts, we know that because of a connection between the mind and body, people are disciplined to think in a new way. Mm-hmm. How does that contribute to wellness?
Well, think about it this way. Every single aspect of the training that you do in the martial arts contributes to it boils down to one thing: self-confidence. All right? You get yourself in really good shape. When you look in the mirror, how do you feel? You feel very confident. All right? When you put on your new clothes and they fit differently, how do you feel? You feel more confident. All right? You feel strong. You're walking up and down the stairs, or you're running up and down the stairs, doing the laundry, all right? You're not out of breath. How does that make you feel? It makes you feel confident. It's like, hey, I can do anything. I can accomplish anything. And if you're walking down the street and you see somebody that looks a little shady, you're not worried about that person, because you think in your mind, if they bother with me, I'll be able to take care of them too. So you become a very confident person, very clear in the mind.
Do students in your school advance based upon the belt system?
Yes, they do.
Can you talk a little bit about that and what determines how advancement takes place?
Okay, our belt system basically it's a different color belt system. It goes from the white belt all the way through to the black belt. And in between, there are stripes that go on each belt. It's a way to let a student know that there is a beginning and how far they have come and how far they have left to go until their first major goal, which would be the first-degree black belt. Without those goals, imagine if someone told you, you'll be a black belt one day, but didn't tell you how long that was going to take, or there was no steps in between, what would happen? After a while, you'd say, wow, am I getting better? How do I know if I'm getting better? How far do I have to go before I get this black belt? So we put in that belt system, and after a certain time period, you're going to get the stripes. It goes more or less by, you know, how many classes have you attended, and are you getting what we're teaching? When you have enough stripes, that's when you test for your next belt. And we look at each student, and if they are where they should be compared to where they were when they started. It's not in comparison to anybody else. Everything is done on a one-person basis. You compare yourself to yourself, and when you look the way you should, that's when you get promoted.
Do you have people like soccer moms coming in and taking classes? And
the trend has changed. I remember when I first began in the martial arts, people were there for self-defense, me included. Right? And most of the class was men. Everybody was trying to be tough. It was a very macho thing. Over the years, it's developed very differently. With Tiger Schulmann especially, it's a very positively reinforced art. And to be honest, 60% to 70% of my students are women these days in my adult program.
And does their program differ from some of the other programs that you offer?
No, everybody does the same thing. Whether you're 5 years old or you're 80 years old, you learn the same things. The difference is in how we teach it. Right? Obviously, the older you are, the more disciplined a person you'll be. So it's a lot easier for us to keep you in, you know, learning at a different rate. With a child, you can't teach that way. It has to be fun for them. So teach it that way.
Demographically, Andy, how would it break down? What percentage of your school would you say are children? How many would be, adults, middle-aged adults, and how many people would be senior citizens?
I'd say 50% of the school is probably children. The other 50% is adults. And out of the adult side, we probably have about 10% senior citizens.
Now, I know that you feel that self-discipline is very important in studying the martial arts. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I think self-discipline is the most important thing that you learn from the martial arts. It's actually the core of the Tiger Schulmann's program. Self-discipline, simply explained, is the ability to set a goal and reach the goal. If you can set a goal but you can't reach it, you're never going to be successful. So what we teach in all of our programs is that what we call a non-quitting spirit. If something's tough, you get tougher. You've got to push yourself through. You've got to be self-disciplined. If you have that discipline, it'll spill over into every aspect of your life. So we start with the self-discipline in the school and the martial arts. And then we take our students and we make them disciplined people. For example, with a child, I'll tell people all the time, your child, I don't care about what color belt they are. I don't care how good a puncher they are, how good a kicker they are. What I want for them is when they become an adult and they go to work, they're going to be the person that works the longest. They're going to be the person that's there early and leaving the latest. Not because they have to, because they want to be the best person doing whatever it is they're doing. And with that in mind, they will become the most successful.
What have parents told you about their children once they've been under your tutelage after about a year?
Most of the children in my program, I would have to say almost all, come to me with their report cards. Either straight A's or very close.
They get better marks.
Of course they get better marks. That's one of the things in my children's program is that I want to see my students' report cards when they come out. We can't have a student that's strong and fast without being smart.
You look at their report cards.
Absolutely. Academic achievement is very important to us. We want to make sure that everybody is well-rounded. The students can't just be athletic. They have to be academic also.
So this is more than just developing your body and developing your mind. It's also about personal growth and development as well.
Yes, it is.
What do you find to be the most rewarding thing about running a school like Tiger Schulmann's?
Just the most rewarding thing about it is just the change that you make in a person's life, and it doesn't matter what age they are. When you take a person that is extremely overweight, obese, 200-300 pounds overweight, and you transform their body into one that they're comfortable with, it's very rewarding. When they come back to me, it's like, Sensei, I can't believe how much better I feel about myself, how much better I look. I can't even tell you the feeling that I get inside. Or when someone comes to me with their child and says, they had no focus, no attention span, their grades were suffering, now they're a straight A student, and every time I tell them, okay, that's enough, you can stop studying, they say, no, Sensei says I have to continue until I'm finished. That is one of the most rewarding feelings that you can have.
That's terrific. How does a person know what style of fighting to study? There's so many different styles that are out there. Can you just talk about a few and what each one involves?
Okay. One thing I want to correct is not style of fighting, it's style of martial arts.
Martial arts, okay.
There's all different styles out there, and all of them are good, and all of them have their purposes. It just depends on what the individual wants to learn. All right? Taekwondo, for example, the Korean martial art, is more kicking, long-range kicking. And
why would a person want to study that over something else?
I don't know that they want to study it over something else. It's a sport. It's an Olympic sport, so if someone has that in mind, that's what they want to do, that's probably where they would go. Would
that be good for cross-training? Say, if I'm a field goal kicker on a football team, would studying that help me?
It could. This flexibility training alone would be helpful.
Okay, and continue. Could you talk about some of the other...
Well, as far as martial arts go, like I said, I think they're all pretty good. What I like about the way that we do it at Tiger Schulmann's is it's the full gambit, right? You learn everything so that you're getting your body in the best shape.
You teach all of them, karate,
yes.
taekwondo,
I wouldn't say, well, you can't, we're not going to call it the same style. It's we teach high kicking and low kicking. We teach hands, Western boxing. We teach wrestling takedowns. We teach how to grapple on the ground. And it's all the same instructor, too, which is something that's very different than all the other schools that are out there. Even professional level fighting. The fighters, they train under one person for jiu-jitsu. They train under a boxing coach. They train under a wrestling coach, which is a little different than the jiu-jitsu. Even our fight team all train under the same person pretty much.
Now, can people who have had surgery or a pacemaker installed, had heart surgery, or people who have had prosthetics, knee replacements, things like that, can they study martial arts safely?
As long as their doctor says it's safe, then it's safe. I mean, I have students actually that have had full knee replacements. I've had knee surgery myself and surgery on my arm, and I have no problem.
Do you have people in your school right now that are in that situation?
Yes, I do. I actually have a gentleman who's 67 years old who had his knee replaced, and I have to tell you, he's one of the strongest students in the school.
What other things do you do in addition to teaching martial arts that helps your students?
Martial arts is my life. It's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week thing. If I'm not training at the school, training myself, I'm training other people. If I'm not at the school, I'm up in Elmwood Park, New Jersey, training under Master Schulmann.
But I mean, in addition to teaching martial arts and also helping to inspire your students, do you do any nutritional consulting or any other type of work that would help improve wellness? We
do. We have a little nutrition program that we give to students. You know, like most of the adults come to us because they're overweight and want to get in better physical condition. So I give them a little bit of nutritional advice, and we put them on a little program that helps eliminate the right kind of weight. All right? Because don't forget, you don't want to eliminate lean muscle. You want to eliminate body fat.
When people think of karate and the martial arts, they think of breaking boards, you know, and bricks. Do you do that?
I used to. It's a lot of fun. It's a real lot of fun. Unfortunately, it takes its toll on your body. I mean, I probably have arthritis in every bone in my hands and in my feet, and it's because of that. It's because we used to do a lot of breaking. Now, breaking has its purposes. You know, there are things that you can learn from it, but you know, over time, we've learned that there are a lot better ways to learn those things than to smash your body into hard objects.
We're just about out of time, Sensei Katz, but if you could just finish with one last question, what do you feel is the real key to success in studying the martial arts and in the wellness that it provides a person?
I think the key to succeed at anything in life is consistency. There are so many programs out there, whether it's diet programs, exercise programs, workout tapes, and every single one of them will work. I mean, you can get in great shape doing any of them. The problem is discipline and consistency. There has to be somebody there to help you with that, and that's my job. My job is to keep people consistent.
And hold them accountable.
That's it. You got it.
Thank you. Sensei Andrew Katz from Tiger Schulmann's in East Brunswick, thank you so much for being part of our Wellness Spotlight today and for sharing your insights on how studying of the martial arts helps improve wellness.
All right. Thank you for having me, Ken.
This concludes another segment of the East Brunswick Advisory Health Council's Wellness Spotlight. I'm Dr. Ken Friedman, President of the East Brunswick Advisory Health Council, once again reminding you that wellness works when you work it.